Automate365 by NowCerts. Hello there! This video will give you an overview of the Workflow Builder in Automate365. By default, you will be in the Actions tab, where you can actually build your workflows. But let's first take a look at some of the other tabs, starting with the Settings tab. We have a few options here, and it is important to understand what they are. The first is a sending window. Setting a sending window means that the outgoing messages in your workflow can only go out during this window. This is a great way to prevent people from getting a text message in the middle of the night, for example. You can build your window by day of the week and time frame. Next up is the option to enter the sender's name and email address. You can skip that unless you want the outgoing messages in this workflow to display a different sender than the default one that is set for your agency's account, which in most cases would be your agency's name and the default outbound email address you have selected in Settings, and more precisely in the SMTP and Mailgun Services section. You can also set different senders for each email in your workflow by entering this information in the email actions themselves, in the fields from name and from email. Getting back to the settings and scrolling down, we see the option Allow Multiple. If you turn this on, it means that any single contact can go through this workflow more than once. If it is off, they can go into the workflow one time, and the second time that a trigger tries to add them, nothing will happen. However, there is an exception. If the workflow trigger you have chosen is an appointment-based trigger, then even if Allow Multiple is disabled, the same contact can go through the workflow as many times as they book an appointment in the specified calendar. Therefore, there is no need to worry. Even if you forget to toggle on Allow Multiple, your contacts will still receive confirmation emails and reminders for their appointments with you. Next up is the option Stop on Response. If you turn this on and a contact in this workflow replies to any of the messages that have gone out, then they will be immediately removed from the workflow. This can be great for nurture campaigns because you eliminate the possibility of annoying somebody by continually telling them to do something when they already have. Next up is the option Automark as read. By default, successfully sent outbound messages from a workflow will show up in all three tabs in the Conversations section: Unread, Recents, and All. If you do not want to see them in the Unread tab, then you can toggle on Automark as read. Lastly, we have the option to enter an event start date. This is great, for example, if you're holding an event on a future date and you want to send appointment reminders leading up to that date. So let's say we had an event coming up on the 20th at 12 a.m. Please note that the time here is in accordance with the default time zone set for your agency's account in Business Info, a section found in Settings. Anyway, after setting the date and time here, we can use wait steps in our workflow that wait until X amount of time before that event. Next, let us look at the Status tab. It shows you an overview of everybody that has been in this workflow and where they are at currently. So, we can see some of these people have finished the workflow, some of them are at wait steps. You can see which step they are at in the current step column. You can also see when the next action will happen for them in the next execution column. If you click on the execution log icon on the right-hand side, this will take you to an overview of all the steps that have happened or are still happening for this particular contact ever since they have been added to the workflow. So, we can see that this person was added to the workflow, then we send them an email, then they hit a wait step, the wait finished, we send them another email, and now they are again waiting. That's where they are. If you want more information about a particular action and its status, you can come over here on the right side again and click on the clipboard icon, and that will give you more details as to what happened. This is an easy way to troubleshoot your workflows, especially when you get a status skipped or error. Anyway, you can see here that you are getting more details about each action, which actually leads us over to the History tab. In it, we can see a complete history of every event that has been fired in this workflow. If I scroll down, we can see that this is cross contacts, so it is just a sequential order of all the events that have happened. Again, if we want to get more details about any specific event, we can click on the clipboard icon on the right-hand side. For example, this person's last action was that they were removed from the workflow. So if we wanted to know more about why they were removed, we can click here and it will tell us that it was stopped due to the execution reaching the end of the workflow. Okay, that's great. So they made it all the way through. However, if you saw somebody who was removed but didn't get all the way through, and you're wondering why, you can check this and it might say something like, they were removed due to reply, which would indicate to you that you have stop on response turned on in your settings, and you can go change that if that is not what you intended. Again, you can also click on the execution log icon on the right-hand side, and if you do that, it will take you to all of the events that have fired for that specific contact, since they have been added to the workflow. Now remember that if you have toggled on Allow Multiple, one person could be added to the workflow more than once. So when you click on this execution log, you are only seeing the events relative to that one session in the workflow. If you wanted to see all of the events across all of their sessions, you can actually click on the person icon over here on the left-hand side next to their name. that will show you all of the events that have fired for that one person for all of the times they have been added to the workflow. So it is a more complete view of the log for this specific contact. Hopefully, this is giving you an idea of the power of the History tab. We are actually surfacing the logs so that you can troubleshoot your own workflows without having to open support tickets. Okay, now let us move to the Actions tab. Here is where we actually build our workflows, and they all start off by adding a workflow trigger. We can see that this workflow kicks off when the customer books an appointment on the calendar for a 15-minute call. But keep in mind that you can also add more than one workflow trigger. Thus, you can say that the workflow should get triggered when clients schedule not only 15-minute calls, but also 30-minute calls. So you can come here and choose the trigger appointment, add filters in calendar, and then select the calendar you want. Now, if I save this, anyone who books on any of these two calendars will be added to this workflow. Once you have at least one workflow trigger, you can start adding events by clicking on the plus sign and searching for the action you are looking to execute. You can simply write, for example, SMS, click on it, add the body, save action, and it is that easy to add it to the workflow. Anyway, the first action in our workflow here is a confirmation email. If you scroll down, you can see all of the details from who, subject, and the message. You can also go to the tab Statistics, and you can see delivery rates, open rates, and other metrics. Next in our workflow, we have a wait step. Then we send another email, followed by yet another wait step, and we send one more email. So as you see, it is all about building a chain of events that you want to happen. That was our quick overview of the workflow builder. For any questions or comments, please send an email to info@automate365.net. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.